Hello, and welcome to Timing is Everything, a program of Care Dimensions. My name is Mary Crow, Director of Professional and Community Education at Care Dimensions. And I'm thrilled today to have on one of my favorite people, Bob Hagopian, who is our bereavement coordinator for the Greater Boston area for Care Dimensions. And today we're going to talk about coping with the holidays, Bob.
Yes.
This is a biggie. You know, this is a tough time of year for people, and you know, this is a show that I really feel is essential that we have once a year for people at least. We could have it more than that, but this is important that people have this support.
Yes.
Thanks for being on the show.
You're very welcome. It's always an honor and a joy.
Some people, you'll be very familiar to some people because you're one of the show's favorite.
Well, thank you.
And mine. And again, we love having you here because, again, you just impart such compassion and knowledge, so we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
So for those who have not had the honor of meeting you, please introduce yourself for them.
Sure. I'm a 26-year retired veteran minister. Also, I've been in the hospice field for about 14 years all told, over 9 years with Care Dimensions. And I've enjoyed every moment of it. Working in hospice is sort of the culmination of my search for figuring out who am I going to be when I grow up.
Wow.
And here we are. I'm also a retired firefighter, and I'm still an emergency services chaplain for fire and police. And I've had a lot of experience in trauma and death, critical incidences, and loss. And I'm grateful for all of it because it's helped me be who I am today and be able to do what I do.
And we're grateful for the service that you've given to the community on so many levels, Bob. Really, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
So let's talk about these rascally little the holidays.
Yes.
And you know, it's funny because you know we do this around this time. Certainly around Thanksgiving, Christmas, Kwanzaa, you know, Hanukkah, all of those holidays. But this is really not just about those holidays. This can be around any event, any major, you know, and I have somebody who I know that for her parents, the biggest holiday for them was the 4th of July. And that's a really particularly hard time for them because it was such an important time in their family's life. So it doesn't have to be just around these holidays, but and it can be around any special event or such. So let's talk about why are they so challenging?
Right, absolutely. And I'm glad that you broaden the scope because it's absolutely true. Anything, any event during the course of the year that we shared with the loved ones we've lost is significant. And especially like you mentioned, if say parents were, you know, July 4th was their big holiday. They had the whole neighborhood over. And now that's not happening like that.
Yeah.
Change has occurred. The loss has occurred. And the losses affect how we celebrate the holidays and, most importantly, how we view the holidays and how they affect us.
Yeah.
It's so different when we've lost someone that is so important to us, and especially was part of those particular celebrations. So it's a severe aspect of grief, of loss, and something that we help people cope with. Just the fact that Care Dimensions follows a family for bereavement support for 13 months beyond the date of the death of their loved one, because we want to help them get through the first birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays and special events, because they do not go this way alone. We want to remind them of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, I mean, even, you know, as I think about this, like even like when people have other special events, like you're talking about weddings, other things like that, these really stir up. The loss of the person is just so apparent. Their absence is so apparent.
Absolutely.
And I think it just stirs up so much for us.
And you know, as a pastor, and I've conducted I don't know how many weddings in 26 years, but there have been many where a loved one, a parent of one of the two people getting married, has died, and they're not there to walk the bride down the aisle or you know, be there to have that mommy and son dance and all of that stuff. It's so hard. So I've always made a point of talking with my couples and saying, let's incorporate the memory of that person here. And what we do is we, not just that person, but we lift up all the people who are not with us in body, but are here in spirit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, and when we're around this time of year, you know, with the major holidays, I think that, you know, again, it can stir up a lot because of the expectations.
Yes.
So talk about that, Bob.
Sure.
I mean, because there is such pressure, you know, and I think in general, right, even without a loss, the pressure that can be put on people in terms of the celebratory, all of that. Talk about those things.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right about that. There is this pressure that we feel, whether it's a societal pressure or a family or tradition pressure, and I feel bad for that because holidays are supposed to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
They're significant. They tell a story that is part of our life, part of our human existence, part of our faith, part of our culture.
Yeah.
And it's important to be able to have those and celebrate them.
Yeah.
So it is a challenge to do that in the wake of a loss. And I am very grateful for these traditions because, you know, they help us, they remind us that life continues. And that, you know what, even though we feel horrible right now, there will be a time when we know we will feel joy again, that we'll be able to laugh. Where, you know, lighting the candles at Hanukkah, you know, doing all these traditions, decorating the tree, you know, all of these things will still hold a great sense of magic and joy. And that's what we try to help people do. But you're right, taking the pressure off and helping them understand that, okay, the holidays will always come, you know, that they're always going to be here. So now we look at them in a different way. But we don't have to diminish the joy and the healing that can come from these holidays. This is something we try to help people to do, is to realize, yes, your loved one is not here. We know that, absolutely, you know that. But the holiday is still here.
Right.
And what it meant to them can still be celebrated, you know, in so many different ways. And every culture and every tradition, every faith has ways to celebrate the person who is not there, whether it's an empty chair at the table, whether it's an empty sock on the fireplace, you know, ways to say they were once here in body, but they're still here in spirit, they're still here in our hearts, they're still in our minds, they're still in these traditions. My maternal grandmother at Easter, it was a tradition in the Armenian church, and I think a lot of cultures share this way. We have egg fights, and it's not, we're not throwing eggs at each other, but you would have hard-boiled eggs, and my grandmother would dye them with different, like onion and different natural things. There'd be purple ones, and there'd be plain white ones, and there'd be brown ones, and there'd be all these different colors. And we'd hold the egg, and we would, you know, push them together. And whoever was broken, you'd turn the egg over and try again. And it was just this funny, it's this little tradition that I have with my grandmother. And I can remember after she died, we continued doing that in my family. So it's appropriating these traditions and their significance to us and the joy that it brings us, the memories, remembering the love. My grandmother, I was her only grandchild. I was the apple of her eye, you know, and she was an incredibly faithful and brave woman. So all of that comes back to me. And yes, I grieve the fact that she's gone, but I also am grateful and celebrate her life, that she lived and that I shared part of that journey with her.
And you carry the traditions along.
Yeah.
I think the hard part too is that, you know, again, with all these pressures of the, you know, the cooking and the shopping and the you know, and what does the media tell us, right? That they tell us that the holidays come from the stores, when in fact they don't. They come from the heart. And I think that's where it's so hard for people, because when we have lost somebody so significant, the heart of our holiday has been ripped out. That's the hard part. So that's where we need to kind of look at different strategies too, of how can people navigate through them. And again, no right or wrong, right? It's something unique to everybody.
Absolutely.
So, you know, putting aside what is being kind of drilled into our heads that you must be celebratory, you must cook, you must shop, you have to decorate, you have to, and then kind of looking at what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think that's what's important. Do not give up on the holidays, please. Do not give up on these traditions that mean so much to you. find a way to incorporate the memory of the loved one in the celebration.
Yep.
And also being able to tell each other, yes, grandma's gone, grandpa's gone, but we still are here celebrating a holiday that they loved.
Yeah.
And in doing so, we're expressing our love again for them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's important. The old cliche, they would want us to continue to live. I believe that's true, because if they loved us and they cared about us and they cared for us, of course they want us to continue to live. They want us to continue to find joy. So that's the challenge in the holidays, is finding that joy. Plus, it's not about, okay, we can't be sad, we gotta all be happy and put on, you know, fake smiles. No, be real. If you're sitting at the table at Hanukkah, at Christmas, at Kwanzaa, and you're missing that loved one, cry for them. Have a moment of silence, maybe. Have a time of maybe remembrance. You know, celebrate who they were. Well, Hanukkah meant so much to her because, you know, she always loved the candles or playing with the dreidel. You know, talk about those things. And again, rediscover and reappropriate the joy of the holiday, what it meant to them and what it still means to you.
Absolutely. And sometimes you're being able to carry on certain traditions, and sometimes you're having to develop new ones, because what if it was that person was the one who carved the turkey, or the one who, so you're incorporating it. I always tell this, you know, what my father, one of his big things was the strawberry shortcake. You know, he had to have the strawberry shortcake from a wonderful bakery up here on the North Shore. So I wasn't actually allowed there until I brought that. So this became a tradition. When my father died, I brought the strawberry shortcake, and I brought that. Nobody else ate it, and it's just it was him only that liked this. But I brought it anyhow because it was a way of keeping him a part of the memory.
Absolutely right.
And so now when I get to our relative's door, they say, "You brought the strawberry shortcake, didn't you?" I said, "Absolutely, I did. I have it right here." So this has become like a ritual, and it's nice to keep those things, and it is a remembrance of the person.
Absolutely, it's a ritual of remembrance. And it's beautiful. And you know, who knows? Maybe the family will try the strawberry shortcake.
Maybe,
and
you
say,
never know.
Now we know why he loved it so much.
Exactly.
And again, that gets back to what you were saying, is reshaping it. And it becomes, it's an older tradition in honor of your dad, but it's also something that everyone can now participate in and realize this is why he loved this so much, because it is delicious. And in doing so, you're sharing in his joy. You know, I think, I encourage people to think outside the box.
Absolutely.
You know, completely, absolutely embrace, maybe redefine the traditions. But this is an opportunity for you to do something a little different. You know, and I love that story. What you just told is a perfect example of that. Continuing that, and then maybe finding out, wow, this is something that we now will look forward to every year too.
And it's okay for people to set limits too, and to really work it, because again, you know, families pressure us, right? No, you've got to be a part of it, even though, and it might not be what you can do that year. So working it around and being clear. It's about communication again, really, isn't it? Being clear of what you feel like you're able to do. One of the, I was talking to a group, and a woman in this group who they had just recently lost their mother. And she said, I'm not shopping this year. She didn't have the energy. She was grieving so significantly, and she said, I am not going out to the stores. I'm not doing this. One of the things they were all missing is that the mother was the one who made this particular type of, I guess it was quite a special pie, and none of them had ever done it before and all of that. What she didn't go and buy gifts, but she did go and buy these beautiful glass pie plates. And she took the mother's recipe for this particular pie and had it written out in beautiful calligraphy, wrapped the pie plate with the recipe, and gave it to each of the family members. It meant so much to them.
Oh, absolutely. What a wonderful idea. And again, that's an example of being creative. Thinking outside the box. And so, you know, I encourage people to think about doing those types of things. But you also brought up a very, very important point, because the first anniversaries, holidays, birthdays, those first times when we're celebrating together a holiday is going to be very different, and we need to acknowledge that. We need to say, okay, you know, the elephant in the room is grandma's not here, grandpa's not here, you know, and okay, we need to acknowledge that, and we need to cut each other enough slack, so to speak, be compassionate and understanding.
Yes.
Like you just said, that person said, I'm sorry, but I can't do shopping this year.
Yep.
And that's okay. They have a right to that.
Yep.
And we need to respect that.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, where the communication comes in to say, you know what, please don't think that you have to go running around and doing all this now.
Yeah.
Maybe we can put that off for next year or something. But, you know, maybe is there something that we could do to help you? Is there anything that we could do together?
Yeah.
You know, and acknowledge that person's grief and how that grief and sorrow is dampening the celebration of the holiday.
Yeah.
Again, be honest, be open.
Yeah.
Find ways to love and support each other.
Absolutely.
We learn so much from that,
Yes.
you know, from each other. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah. And I think it just, again, allowing that freedom. So, because some people feel, like, I have to be over at the family's house all day long. It might not be what they can do. So, planning ahead. And I always say, make an escape plan. So, like when somebody says, I'll come pick you up even, and, you know, and then, but are you really going to bring me home? Like, if I'm there for 15, 20 minutes and I say, no, I got to go, are you really going to take? So, I actually say to people, if you're able to drive yourself, do that, and then, you know, have your escape plan, so that, and I would even say it ahead of time. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to be here today, but, you know, and it's nothing personal, but I want people to be respectful if I need to leave.
Absolutely, and again, that's communication, letting them know.
Yeah.
And they will understand.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to, because the loss of that person affected them too.
Absolutely.
Obviously not in the same way it affects us, because everyone is unique and the relationship's unique.
Correct.
But still, it's acknowledging, you know what, this might be a little different. I might have to bow out.
Yeah.
Or, you know, please don't be surprised if I wake up that morning and I realize I can't do this
Exactly.
today. And you know, I'll let you know, and please understand that.
Definitely.
You know, that's the whole point. Is what I love to do, to encourage people to do, is take ownership of their own healing. And I also encourage their family and friends to take co-ownership of that person's healing.
Yeah.
By doing what they can to help what that person needs.
Right.
Is what's important.
Yes. Yeah.
What can I do for you? How can I help you?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it? Do you not want me to do anything? Fine, I won't, you know.
Yes.
What do you need me to do or not do?
Absolutely.
That's what's important.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way to put it.
Yeah.
I think other things too around the holidays that can be helpful are ways of memorializing that person.
Yes.
And whether that's, you know, sponsoring a family in need or planting trees. Talk about some other ways, like, again, to help with those holidays.
Oh, absolutely. And again, acknowledging that that person isn't there, especially that first time, that first holiday. Some people will have the dinner table set and they'll have an empty setting, you know, for that person. And that's a way of acknowledging they're not here, but they're still here in our heart. We're still thinking of them, remembering that they're still part of this celebration, and they want us to celebrate. That's one thing to do. But I love what you just said, doing something in their name. Maybe the loved one had this passion for a certain charity or a certain event. You know, for instance, 4th of July, you were talking about that. 4th of July parades. Some communities fundraise to be able to have a parade. And, you know, maybe donating to that in their name, in memory of them.
Yes.
There's so many different things that you can do. Again, be creative. Think outside the box. You know that person. You know what their particular likes and interests were. Find something in that. And even if it's something off the wall, do it.
Absolutely.
You know?
We have the tree lighting ceremonies, which I love, Bob.
Yes.
So, you know, what I do, and I happen to drive by the tree after it's lit every night on my way home. And so I get a few lights for people that have meant the world to me in my life and who have died. And I swear those lights shine brighter. I do, and I identify those, and I kind of, and so I recognize that every day when I'm at, and I happen to be at a light there too, so I can really sit
there and look at it.
Really look at it, and then again think on that. But there's different ways for different people.
Oh, absolutely.
But those are some of the ways that I find helpful and ways to think about that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because those memorial services that Care Dimensions runs, the Bertillon Center for Grief and Healing, we do one in the spring and we do one in the late fall, in December. And the December is referencing to the tree lightings that we have all over our service area.
Yep.
And it's important that we offer these opportunities for people to come together and remember their loved ones. No matter how far in the past they've passed away, we want to help them.
Absolutely.
We want to help them in whatever they're dealing with now and remember them.
Yeah.
So you're right. It really adds so much to the experience of the holiday time. And we make that an interfaith type of experience.
Absolutely.
Yes, Christmas tree, it's Christianity. No, it's all about light.
Yeah.
Kwanzaa is about light.
Yeah.
Hanukkah is about light.
Yeah.
Christmas is about light. All of these holidays are about light.
Yeah.
Light in the darkest time of the year.
Yes. Yeah.
When, you know, the daylight is minimal compared to what it is in the summer.
Yeah.
Light is what we need.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful because they do, and with the tree lighting, they're powerful experiences.
Yes.
And I take part in these each year, and they have them in the different communities too, so that people can get there, whether it be Danvers and Swampscott and Gloucester, and also down in the greater Boston area, Waltham, Lincoln, all of those areas. So if people want more information about those, they can call the Bertillon Center for Grief and Healing.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's important. So any of these, and also just support services. You're doing Coping with the Holidays support services around that time too, aren't you?
Yes, we are, and we're doing specific workshops and classes around that. Individually with our clients, I always would, around the holidays, I would give them a packet of information on coping with the holidays, something that me and my team have put together. It's important to have that support there for them. And I can't stress enough for people to check the Care Dimensions website, look at the Grief Support tab, click on that. It will open up a whole host of information, not just from our organization, but from all over the internet that can be very helpful to them.
Yes.
In addition to our calendar events, so they can see when are those memorial services scheduled, and how do I, if I have to register for something or a workshop or a support group, check that out, because that support is there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, and so I want to, and it's somewhat, I just want to keep giving people some more tips, just in terms of navigating through these times, because, I had a gentleman who last year, he was coming to a lot of the programs because his wife had died from Alzheimer's disease, and this was his first year without her and his first holidays. And what we talked about, so he was trying to get any tools for his tool belt to help him navigate through that time. So that's where, again, seek out support from others, going to support groups. There's all kinds of informational stuff going on. But again, just like what we've always talked about communicate, let people know what you need, what you're able to do, what you're not doing, and what are some of the activities. Again, how would you like to incorporate? Some people in the family are having a harder time talking about that person when other people need to.
Yes.
So you got to kind of find that too, right? Because there's a balance there.
There has to be a balance. You're absolutely right, and being respectful of each other's their own particular experience of the loss. Their own grief is specific to them. And there may be times when you may want to talk about that, but well, that Aunt Jane that's sitting next to you is going to get very upset. Knowing that being respectful like that, knowing your people, knowing the people around you, the people who are in your inner circle is very important.
And who you can talk with, because it's important that you're able to talk with those people, and you should talk about the person as much as you'd like. Who are the people that can be there with you during that?
Absolutely.
And who are the ones that can't?
Right. And always seek out advice and information from the Bertillon Center for Grief and Healing. Call our grief line, email us. There's so many materials and information that we can share, that we share with our communities, not just the families who we've had loved ones on service. It's about everyone being able to cope with the holidays and get through them and experience them in one way, shape, or form that is meaningful to them.
I had 2 women that had gone to, they went to a support group. Both had lost their husbands, both from Alzheimer's disease, and they had formed a connection in this. And what they found was that they were struggling. This was last year was their first holiday without their spouse, And so they were trying to figure out what to do. Well, they both decided that they were going to go to a comedy movie. So they went out. There happened to be a particular movie out that they both were interested in seeing, and they went to this and they just laughed. I think it's so hard for people who are grieving because sometimes they feel that laughing is a disloyalty to the person who has died.
You're right. They do feel that way, that it's
or minimizing.
Minimizing, being disrespectful to the person. No. We understand why people think that. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're in the period of mourning, whatever it may be, nearer the date of the death of the person, when it actually has just happened, we don't expect to be out there, being a reveler,
right?
Because that might make people think something's really wrong here, and it might not be good and healthy for the person to even think about that. But being respectful of how a person is feeling, asking them how they're feeling. What can we do? What do you not want to do? Like I said earlier, I got up this morning, I know I can't come to Thanksgiving dinner. I'm sorry, this is what I feel.
Right.
It's all about that. Mm-hmm. And it's also about, no matter what time of year, because the holidays are triggers, they will trigger us emotionally. Mm-hmm. I can't stress enough about good self-care.
Right. Yeah.
Good sleep, good nutrition, good activity, and good social connection. Maintain those all year round, because they will be a great help to you when it comes to times like this.
Absolutely. And as we talked about, it's like the last thing a grieving for, because people think that grieving is a passive process. It's not. It's exhausting.
It is.
It takes a lot of work, So it's really, just getting up, putting one foot in front of the other, and that takes a lot of energy. So doing all those things, you have to push yourself.
Yeah, you do. Sometimes
it's important.
You do.
Yeah,
right.
But it's so important because it's the last thing a grieving person wants to do. Right. It's the thing they need to do the most.
Yeah.
So that's where we can support one another and kind of encourage and get people out there doing that as well.
Right, and because we at Care Dimensions and the Bertillon Center for Grief and Healing, this is our specialty. Yeah. So we have gathered information from all over the world, experiences, ideas, examples of things that people can consider. Yeah. We don't expect the person when they're grieving to be coming up with all this on their own, or even their families coming up with these things. There's so much good information out there from people who have been through it, who know what they're talking about, and can say, you will get through this, and this is an idea that you might want to use.
Absolutely, so reach out. Bob, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
For being on this program. We value you so much.
Thank you.
And again, we just can't thank you enough for sharing your kindness, your love, and your support.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in to this program on coping with the holidays, and look forward to having you on other programs.
To me, the most important thing is hospice really isn't about dying. Hospice is about living. And it means living whatever time that person has left on this earth to the best of their ability.
It's about life and having every day that you have left be the best that it can be. Well, you may have a terminal illness, but we don't focus on that. We focus on your comfort and making you have the best days you can.
Yeah, I've got a Hospice RN t-shirt that on the back of it says, hospice, it's all about life. A lot of folks have the idea that it's, hospice was the last, couple of days of life. I would like to break people of that idea.
Well, I would love them to know that hospice is not all about dying, but it's about the quality of life.
Hospice is more about living than dying. Hospice is about enhancing the quality of life and providing compassionate care to the patients